Hi, and thank you for tuning in to Lunch Talk with the Carters. I am your hostess, Star Carter.
And I am your host, Michael Carter.
And we just came to tell you all that it is time to get the show started. All right. So now we're about to get the show started, guys. Today is Monday, January the 22nd. This is the fourth Monday into the new year. I hope everybody's new year has started off to a good start. Hope everybody is enjoying and doing everything you said you was going to do when January 1 came in. So how you doing today, Mr. Carter?
Oh, I'm doing great, honey.
Well, today, y'all, we left you in suspense Friday when we did the show, Can Exes Still Be Friends? So today, our topic is going to be love and war. Sometimes it's not always good, okay?
Oh, another juicy topic, another juicy topic.
So we just gonna go ahead and get into it. So basically, I wanted to do this show today because I just want to keep it real with you guys. You know, we said, in our intro show that we were gonna keep it real and be honest about everything that we see that goes on in relationships, whether it's good or bad. So like I said, today we're gonna do this topic called love and war. Sometimes it's not all good. So just over the past couple days, me and my husband, we had a disagreement on some things. Some colorful words have flown. Thank God that we were able to get past all the craziness and everything is back to normal in the Carter's house. But we was just wanting to know some of you all's opinions, like when you go through things in your relationship and sometimes, you get so mad and upset with your mate that you just feel like you just want to throw in the towel and just want to just give it up. What keeps you there? What keeps you and makes that staying power? Because sometimes love is just not always enough. So what is your take on that, Mr. Carter?
Well, first of all, I got to say on that, it's got to be dedication. That's one thing. Loyalty, that's another thing. Because as you said, it takes a little more than just love. You can love somebody and you still be separated. But in order for you to stay in that relationship and try to keep it pushing forward, you got to have dedication and you got to have loyalty.
And I think that is two great points that you brought up, Mr. Carter, because you do have to have dedication and you do have to have loyalty in order for your relationship to continue to thrive. And especially in today's society where you have so many people that are not married and so many people that are not in monogamous relationships, they're just so easily now to just throw in the towel and just move from relationship to relationship without really and truly getting a lasting connection with just that one person. Because as I was telling you earlier when we was having this discussion that, it used to be a time where women, we stayed because we had children and we needed the male in our homes, to help take care of the kids and help rear the kids. But now the culture is so many women now that are single parents that are independent and don't need men in the home, that we have became a society of women a lot of times that we really don't value the relationship. So when we get in them and we've been single for so long and we've been doing it on our own, that we feel like we don't need a man. And so when men bring a lot of baggage to the relationship, we're very quick now to just get rid of their asses because, you don't want to go through that. What do you think?
Well, my thing is on the totally opposite side of that because the fact of the matter is, men might bring baggage, but come on now, ladies. When y'all come into a relationship, y'all got 4 and 5 kids, or y'all got debt up the wazoo. That work both ways, but I mean, people bring baggage. I mean, you accept that with the person. I mean, but when it comes to like females, I think that's the problem. Ladies, I'm not bashing you guys, but yeah, the big problem I feel in relationships like that is the ladies. Because of the fact that you said it just now. I feel that I don't need a man. It ain't the fact that you need a man. That ain't the point. The point is men don't need you neither. Men don't need women either. But we want women. And ladies, you should want men. It ain't the fact of who you need. It ain't about that. See, ladies take things to a whole another perspective when it comes to that. I don't need a man. I make my own money. So that's what your relationship consists of. Just because you make your own money, you don't need a good man in a relationship. That's my point. I'm like, really? That's how it goes?
I mean, like I said, the culture of how things are now is just so different from, like when our parents was growing up, where the man was the sole breadwinner of the home. Women, we kind of laid down and we took a lot of stuff back then because we weren't outside of the home. We didn't have our own money. We didn't have our own voice at the time. And so now that we are more empowered to do better for ourselves and for our children, we do get into the tendency to think that we don't need a man, but for nothing other than sex sometimes. I mean, and that's a bad way to think about it, but really sometimes that's what a lot of women think about. They only think that we need a man for sex, because a lot of times they just like, well, I just don't want to deal with it. I don't need a man in my life. I don't need the drama. I don't need the baby mamas, because that 4 and 5 kids, there's a lot of men that got a whole lot of baby mamas. So you got to bring a lot of that drama too. So it's like, it's on the same thing, because everybody at some point, I'm not gonna say everybody, but good majority of people now have children. It's not that many people that when you go in a relationship, both of y'all or neither one of y'all don't have any children. It's just that culture now that a lot of people are having children before they're getting married. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because I had my son before I was married, so I'm not knocking anybody that does, but I'm just saying it's just a culture now that a lot of the women used to being single parents, not because they don't want to put up with bullshit, but a lot of the times the men leave and they wind up being single parents by default, because the man just up and decided that they wanted to leave one day, that being a parent and taking care of a house was too much for them. So they was forced to be single parents too. So you have to take that in consideration when we're talking about this love and war. And sometimes it's not all good in relationship.
Yeah, but my thing is this too, on that level too. Yeah, I agree with some of the things you're saying, but if a man did up and leave, you have to look at the situation. For me, for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. Now, if you got to come home every day to a bitching ass woman, that's never satisfied with anything that you do, okay, yeah, you may have kids with this woman, but guess what? A man is just like you. Y'all continuously saying y'all don't need a man for financial stability other than sex. I mean, what do we need women for? Women have never been providers. Women have never been nothing but just a shot of ass too, if you want to look at it that way. I mean, what do we need you guys for? Everybody keep throwing up, we don't need men, but like I just said, we don't need women. It ain't the fact of what you need, it's the fact of what you want. That's my point. People get it misconstrued. I don't need this, I don't need that. Nah, you don't. You don't need a glass of wine, but guess what? If you want one, you'll go get one. It's just that simple. A lot of things you don't need, but you just want it. It's just that simple, So you got to take a look at it, ladies and gentlemen, from both standpoints. Women are my thing is this, both standpoints. Women are always being empowered. I don't need this, I don't need that. Okay, what about the men? Simple and direct. What about the men that is out there taking care of their kids? It is out there being the leader in the household, but you women, you won't let that happen. Y'all won't let that happen. My question is why?
Well, I look at it like this. A lot of times women have always been felt like that they cannot be a provider for the household, and that's not true anymore. I mean, at one point it is. I mean, because there's men that lose their jobs, and when they lose their job, and if the woman still have a job, and they have to pick up the slack too. So I won't agree when you say that women have never been providers, because that's not true. It's been a lot of women that had to provide to keep the family going whenever their husband or their boyfriend or whoever got laid off from their job, and so a lot of the times women had to pick up the slack, because and then a lot of us was forced to go back to school, to get degrees later on in life and everything like that, so that we could have a better chance of getting better jobs and stuff and competing with the male market, to take care of our families. But I just think that that's the reason why we're going through a lot of this women empowerment now, because women are feeling like, look, we had to do the same things now that we did not have to do, that men were always created to do for us. We're having to do those things, because
y'all wanted to do that.
But to
y'all
me,
fought to do that.
Well, no, in some aspects we have, but in some aspects we were forced.
And then you got it, you don't want it.
Though I say in some aspects we were forced though, because like I said, sometimes men or a woman then woke up one morning to find that her husband said, well, I'm going to get a pack of cigarettes and don't never come back, or or I'm going to work and don't never come back.
Well, if so sometimes kept her mouth closed, maybe he wouldn't.
Well, no, that might not even be the case. Some people get scared of responsibility. Some people, just fear responsibility, and so they run off because they're not either mature enough to handle responsibility, handling a family. Because when you get with a woman that already has children per se, we gonna use that as an example. When you get with a woman that already has kids, and say you as a man don't have kids, then you're taking on a whole nother level of responsibility.
I agree. Yes, you are.
And that may not be a level of responsibility that you're ready to assume at that time, but you may really love the woman, but you just can't handle the fact of being a stepfather. They may be some brats. You don't never know. They might be running around there telling you ain't my daddy. You ain't my daddy. And every 10 minutes, you ain't my daddy. You can't tell me what to do. And I mean, so that's another factor that can come in, the reason why a lot of relationships don't work, because a man is not going to sign up for that too, Okay, so we talked about kids. We talked about loyalty, dedication. We talked about the culture of single parents now. So what else do you think is a reason why relationships don't have the staying power that they had before?
Well, I think my personal opinion about that is, I feel that people in relationships these days don't have roles. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying that to be sexist, okay? I mean roles. Let me use an example for that, okay? Say for instance, you work in a plant. People have different roles. You have supervisors, you have managers, you have logistics, you have team leads, you have employees, regular workers, okay? If one person tried to run all those different positions, those different roles, would you have a very successful business?
No.
So you have to look at a relationship like a business, like a partnership. It has to be roles. When you have people just all over the place trying to do a million different things, your relationship has a tendency to get lost. I'm old school, guys. I'm just being real. I'm old school. Just say, okay, a man being the head of the household. If he's allowed to be the head of the household, he's a good head of the household. I feel that a woman should have another role. She shouldn't try to play the head of the household. Because when two people trying to play the head of the household, it's like, to me, you're going to bump heads. Like if you have two supervisors trying to be a supervisor on one shift, you're going to bump heads. Now, if this guy has given you a reason not to let him take that role, of course step in. Of course. You know, that's logical sense. But roles, ladies and gentlemen, that's my thing. Roles. Everybody got to have a role in order to have a successful business or a successful relationship. That's my point. You know, don't try to run everything yourself, because that right there is setting yourself up to be in an unsuccessful relationship.
I agree with you on that. I agree. And, you know, we have to let the man be a man too, ladies, because I've seen that a lot of times where women have emasculated their men, you know, in situations. You can't just talk to your man all willy-nilly, especially in front of his friends. And if he do have boys to come over to the house or whatever, a man has to be a man, and a man has to feel like a man. I'm not saying that you got to bow down and he's got to talk to you crazy or whatever, whatnot, and you got to be like all timid and fragile. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying a man needs to also feel like a man. So I think that's what my husband is saying as far as the roles in relationship, because a lot of the women, we want to be the man and we want to be the woman, but we can't be both. We got to let the man be a man and trust that they know what they're doing too. Because a lot of times, you know, us women, we control our children, but we like to control our men too. We like to look at our men as our kids, and that's a bad way of looking at it. We should not ever look at our men as kids. Now, like my husband said, if they're acting a certain way and you feel like you need to step in and that's why you're doing it, then that's a whole nother different story. But if they are doing their role like they should be, then let them take the lead. Let the man take the lead in your relationship if that's what they want to do. Now, like I said, a lot of times the culture has changed a little bit, and that's why I feel like a lot of women are taking more of a lead role in the households because of that. But you got to know what's right for your relationship. You got to know what works well in your house, and whatever works well in your house may not work well in the next person's house, or it may not work well in the Carter's house. But you got to do what works well in your house to give that staying power in your relationship, because nowadays, guys, we give up too quick on our relationships. We really do. And that's why the failure rate for marriages in this country is so freaking high. You know, soon as you get married, statistics say you're going to be divorced within a year. That's what statistics say. The statistics does not even say that we're going to stay married 3 years. We do good if we even stay married a year now. And that's so sad. That is so sad that our relationships are failing. They're failing. And we're all running around here all willy-nilly. We all want love, but we don't want to make the sacrifices to have those lasting relationships anymore. We are just so ready and so quick to just up and leave soon as somebody says something to you and you just like, oh, I ain't got to take this shit. I'm gone. You know, and that's just the culture that we have gotten into, and we got to stop that, because there's not going to be any more families. You know, I know a lot of you might have older grandparents that's been married 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and 70 years. You don't see that anymore. You don't. And it's so sad. It's so sad, because it's just like we're just so ready to throw in the towel. What you think about that? What I just said?
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Again, you know, I'm old school. The valid point my wife was just saying, I was going to say the exact same thing. Guys, do you remember back when your older aunties and your grandparents was together for 20, 30 years and everybody wondered, how did they do that? It's back to what I was saying. Roles. When the roles changed, that's in our century, our decade, when this thing started changing, relationship doesn't have the importance importance that it had back then.
No,
you
it
know,
doesn't.
not saying it's right, but just hear me this. Granddaddy out there, Papa was a Rolling Stone. Now, I'm telling you, back in the day, Granddaddy probably had a family over here, over there, or whatever. But Grandma didn't leave. Grandma stood by Granddaddy, and they've been married for 30 years. Not saying it's right, guys, because I wouldn't tolerate it neither. But I'm just saying, I'm just trying to give you an example of the dedication, what I was talking about earlier. That type of dedication we need today, guys. I mean,